recording. So let's go to here. So it looks better. Right, full screen it. Making sure this works.
Get right.
All right. So Peach versus Cloud. This was the matchup that was recommended or people asked about the most because a lot of Peaches really struggle in this matchup. I'm definitely no stranger in this matchup. I played it a lot. Like whenever I go on Wi-Fi, I play against Cloud like 3 times a day. Just like out, just like playing random people. They always like want to counter pick me with Cloud. So I definitely know how Cloud works. So I'm definitely very confident. And I think the number one thing like a lot of Peach players struggle with in this matchup, besides like neutral or anything like that, is just confidence. Like Cloud is a very scary character, but his game plan is pretty simple. And characters with very simple game plans just get a lot better when you play scared. So I just kind of want to point that out as more of a mentality thing for this matchup where you don't want to overly respect some of Cloud's options. Peach definitely has tools in this matchup. So, how does this matchup work? To understand that, we have to kind of understand how Cloud works. Cloud's a character that is a really good defensive character. He's really similar to Peach. Very good back air, up B out of shield, cross slash, fair. Really good tools for just stuffing out Peach being overly aggressive and also walling you out in the air. Because Cloud's going to be spacing back airs and forward airs against you anyways, so there really isn't much of a point in being in his airspace because he's just going to swing and space you out there anyways. So that's really important. But similar to Peach, Cloud isn't a great offensive character. It sounds kind of weird because it's like, oh, he has a sword and he's fast. But if you really look at his frame data, Cloud's ground moves are not very safe. He has down tilt, which can cross up, but you can't really cross up Peach because of ground flip back air and turn up. His aerials also have a little bit of startup. So the only way Cloud can truly play offensive and be an offensive character, like for real, is with limit. Without limit, he's just a character with bad grounded frame data, not very safe grounded frame data, and some of his aerials have startup. That's really important. He also doesn't get much off of grab, so he can't. So he's not like say a Sheik, for example, who will rush you down, condition you to shield, and then grab you, and then get a lot off of the grab. Or even like Palutena, where she can rush you down with her aerials, her ground speed, and then get stuff off of grab. Cloud can't really do that. He has to play the spacing game. He's much better defensively. So why is that important? That is important because your main way of getting in on Cloud, it's kind of the polar opposite of Mario, where we were walling him out, we don't want him to hit us. But instead, we need to somehow land a hit on Cloud because he's going to be walling us out in this matchup. So we need to pay attention to his walling patterns as well as bait out offense from him. And you do that with turnups. Shield is really good in this matchup, extremely good. It's like this matchup would be impossible without shield. Some of Peach's pokes are also really important because Peach's frame data is just safe enough to where you can touch Cloud's shield and play around Cloud's shield to where you won't get upbeat if as long as you space it right or you cross them up or something like that. Because Bear is -6, Fair is -8, Nair is -2, and up B is frame 10. So you're just barely there. So where you can kind of poke Cloud Shield and be safe if you're on point with your spacing and your shield pressure. But yeah, you want to play very grounded. Cloud's going to be throwing out aerials anyways. And when you're playing grounded as Peach, because a lot of people don't really think about it too deeply, it's like, oh, I just don't float right. That's correct, but you also want to pay attention and catch their landings, which is really important against Cloud because these characters are going to be jumping anyways, and they're going to have to land at some point. So you either want to try to catch their landing or see what they do after if you can't do that. Stage control is also really good in this matchup because it's going to be harder for Cloud to space stuff like forward air and back air when he's in the corner. That's true for all sword characters, Shulk as well, Marcina, Croy, where the more they're in the corner, the more they have to kind of like panic to get out of there, and the better shield is as a ledge trap. So that's very, very important. But yeah, let's just kind of get right into it. I think the only stage that is a problem against Cloud is probably Battlefield, funny enough, and Smashville. I think Smashville's horrible because fighting sword characters as Peach on a small stage just is horrible. You really need to pull turnips. But yeah, you want to play very patient and grounded. So let's see what he does. Let's see what Carnage does. So this is already kind of an issue I'm seeing. So when you're in this spot, it's great you have the turnip in hand, right? But you don't want to put yourself immediately in the corner because, like we kind of been saying for a lot of these VODs, Peach with stage control is really, really good. But when you corner yourself, Peach isn't like a great character out of the corner. She's very slow. She doesn't have the best dash to shield. So instead, with this turn up at the start of the game, it's okay to like throw out a poke and then shield. Also, with Peach's pokes, they're also just fast enough to where you can shield right afterwards, which is super, super helpful against Cloud. So your main way of kind of keeping space behind you against Cloud is to use shield. And when you're using shield, which we'll get into in a bit, is know when it's your turn to act out of shield. And rolls are also your best friend as long as you don't get really predictable with them. So there's a little more to shield, but you don't want to corner yourself against back air Cloud because Cloud's back air is just so broken against Peach, especially in the corner. And the moment you put yourself here, you're already putting yourself at risk. So at the start of the game, it was really good
Here we go.
that you pulled turnip because turnips are really broken in this matchup. You can't really hold forward against Cloud because Cloud is a good defensive character. You want to use more of like your movement, shield, and Peach's pokes to kind of make him throw out these aggressive options against you. But here, don't corner yourself. Instead, just kind of go towards center stage. If you're really scared against Cloud, walking is really helpful because you can kind of react a lot better to what he's going to do. But yeah, definitely don't start in the corner because even if you get hit, you won't be off stage at the beginning of the game, which is important. Yeah, I already don't really agree with this. Just take center, just keep center. And also, once he lands, see what he does after. So he goes for cross. Well, I think that's just a combo.
Gets the side B off.
But yeah, I wouldn't have landed there because Cloud. That's another reason this matchup is kind of tough. Is because Cloud can catch Peach's landings all day. Like he can up air, dash attack, back air, cross slash as an anti air, and sometimes it's better to go to ledge. But yeah, I'm already also when sword characters are on a platform, you want to always be ready for them to throw an aerial off a platform. I don't know why, but like every sword player just does this is they run off the platform with an aerial. And another trick Peach has against aerial spam is parry down tilt. Parry down tilt's super good against matchups where shield is very prominent, like this one. So yeah, I'm gonna assume he's gonna just drop through the platform with an aerial. So that's really good. But this back air was really good. But I don't agree with this down tilt, right? It was good you used the shield and you poked him on a shield once, but you could have gotten upbeat. So this is starting to this is kind of what I was talking about where you don't want to hold forward as Peach. You want to know when it's your turn to hit Cloud and don't go past that point because he will just upbeat you. So like here, for example, what you could have done to like play a little more defensive is hit his shield once and then just shield again. And then that kind of puts Cloud in a guessing game where it's like he's either gonna like hit your shield again or he could up B you there or he has to grab you. And that's kind of like baiting out those offensive options that we've been talking about. Where using shield can definitely help you there. But yeah, definitely don't overextend versus Cloud when you're touching a shield or pressuring him up close because you will just get upbeat or up smash and it gets really ugly. Just play it patient, play it very passive, and you can afford to do that because all you need sometimes against Cloud is like one hit into an edge guard. And that's really all you need because Cloud's recovery, it's not the easiest to edge guard, but it's just gimpable enough to where this makes it a very like back and forth matchup where Cloud either like hits you and juggles you or you just hit him off stage once and he gets gimped. So definitely patience definitely pays off in this matchup. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, something that's going to be important for Peach in these early
Side B off.
Yeah, here in terms of like stage control and they're on the platform, instead of going for this jump up air, it would have been better to just like use ground float because you want to get back to center stage. Because most likely, if you do like up air one or the fast fall up air with Peach and you go back and shield, that's kind of what I mean, where you can throw out a poke and then just shield after. He'll run off and hit your shield, and then you get something like a parry back air into down tilt. So, hope you're, for people that kind of struggle in this matchup, you're kind of starting to understand. Like, you hit Cloud, you poke Cloud, and then you play defensive. Like, you don't hold forward. But yeah, here, and then you try to like hold in there. But definitely the play there was to do like, for platform pressure, was do up air one, run, and then just shield. You want to play the shield game versus Cloud.
And something that's going to be important for Peach in these early.
But yeah,
The side
here,
be off.
it's kind of what I mean about
Yeah, something
no
that's
when
gonna
it's
be
your turn out of
important.
shield. Sometimes you just can't punish Cloud. If you don't get a parry, just reset. Don't try to grab him, because at higher levels, I noticed, is getting whiff grabs is so bad. It's so bad in this game because you can just get hit. They can just punish you for it. But going with the theme of seeing what he does after he lands, so he crosses up and then he goes and shields. So we're seeing an aerial into a defensive option here.
In these early stocks is finding
Aerial into dash
that
away.
combo start, finding those
Aerial.
big damage
Okay, well, you got him there.
moments.
And see, you're kind of keeping center
That
stage
combo start, finding those big
Yeah.
damage
here,
moments.
which is good. You're catching his landings. So you're seeing the Cloud likes to jump a lot, which is what he's supposed to do, honestly. But it's good you're playing patient and you're keeping the center here and kind of playing around that. Back air, run off the platform with an aerial. You just got to be ready for that. Like every sword character
Finding those
just
big
does this.
damage moments. Managing to confirm off that jab nicely.
Oh, see, this was bad. This is not what you want to do. So you got hit. Number one, you don't want to be up here because Cloud can just jump up air. Like, what's really stopping him from jump up airing and drifting back? And if he hits you, you're without your jump and your float. So you really, it's like Game and Watch, where it's so hard to land versus this character, and you want to avoid being above him as much as possible because he will just up air, and you also want to avoid landing like this. It's okay to just like go to ledge there because trying to land versus Cloud just nets you so much unnecessary damage. You're playing a very dangerous guessing game here, where if he read you, he could have just like F smash, and I think he would have died. So it's kind of what I was saying about the pressure. Don't put yourself in too many risk situations. Just pull back. Don't hold forward versus Cloud because he can punish you.
Ooh.
And see, you're doing it again, which is really bad because now what he can do is he can face back, double jump and jump back here and drift back. And he wouldn't have, and there's no risk for him involved in that. So you want to minimize these situations where these really risky situations where you're going to lose your resources. Because having this float is very helpful for ledge too. You don't always have to burn it off stage. For any Peach players that are wondering, it's a really good ledge option to have, and it makes ledge trapping Peach just a little bit harder, which you need in this matchup because Cloud's ledge trapping is pretty good. See, you could have just gone to ledge there, and you would have also had that float as a resource. So I want you to realize that. And in spots like this, where, let me go back, and this is why float would have been super good to have. In spots like this, where Cloud's shielding, or anybody's shielding for that matter, you can jump JCFF up air, JCFF nair off of ledge, and it would have crossed up. And that's why rolls are also really good against Cloud, because you can cross them up and then shield. Because up B, if he has to like turn it around and it's even slower, and it makes your shield pressure a little bit better. So when you're poking with Peach and playing around Cloud Shield, try to cross up as much as you can. This is like a good thing against sword characters in general, is try to cross up their shield. And when you're poking them or touching their shield, or try to go for grab. Don't overextend. But here, having that float, you could have jumped JCFF Nair and you would have been behind him. And that would have been super good. And if you would have tried to jump out a shield here with like an aerial, the Nair would have stuffed it out.
Carnage is just trying to get back to ledge.
But here's kind of what I mean. I'm seeing this a lot, where against Cloud, don't drop shield too early again. Don't know when it's your turn to play out of shield. Sometimes you have to hold your shield a little bit longer than you're used to against Cloud, just in case he does stuff like this, where he hits your shield and then tries to read you dropping shield too quickly with like an F smash or side B or something. But here would have been a great spot. Since you're already in shield, is just go for a roll. Going for a roll here would have been perfectly fine. He could have read you, but you want to let Cloud know you're willing to go for those rolls. Because then it makes holding shield later a lot better when he does try to read the roll. It's more mind games for him, which helps you in the long run.
Ledge, but Curry's just waiting there for those side Bs.
Yeah, oh, that was risky, but I'm glad you didn't land there. See, you just cannot land there.
He whips it.
Yeah, and see, you're going for these grabs out of shield, and if you don't get a parry, just drop shield. Just don't really punish it, because you're better off with doing here instead of grabbing.
He whips it.
Is just go for stage control or try to chase him, because this Cloud oftentimes will try to hit your shield and then dash away to try to have that space in between you. So if you remember the Mario VOD, it was like maintaining that distance between you and the Mario player. And it's kind of the same thing what the Cloud is doing here. The roles are just reversed, where Cloud needs space against you to space stuff. And if you get too close, you can start crossing up his shield. You can start parrying, and he won't be able to space his aerials up close. So it makes sense why he's doing this, because he needs that space in between you. So now it's all a little bit about closing the gap or baiting him with your ground movement to mess up his spacing.
Yeah, that was a little bit scary.
And yeah, you're starting to play scared too. Like here, you could have just taken stage position and go forward or try to poke him. I'm not really seeing a lot of fair pokes, which is really good in this matchup because this Cloud's jumping a lot.
A little bit scary. The shield pressure.
Yeah.
In this ledge.
But yeah, so you wasted your float there, and it would have been super valuable for something like right here, to where you could have done the Nair mix-up.
On point gets a Cloud grab. You don't see that too often.
Yep. Oh, yep. Oh, man. Yeah, you're wasting your float too early. Because Cloud could have just short hop up aired right here. But yeah, I mean, he back aired instead, so that was good. But he kind of overextended, and you went for the side B. I'm just going to guess, like, you tried to go for auto cancel, but this sort of thing just happens where you don't get the height quite correct. But see, this is kind of what I mean earlier, more of a visual of it, where you hit his shield, you cross up, and then this is when you can shield, because Cloud will try to read you doing this. Try to read the cross up with this. So you could have shielded there, and this would have been a great free down tilt for you. So that's why when you're kind of poking at Cloud, playing around a shield, if you can cross up, it's great. Because he's kind of forced to go for this. But yeah, definitely keep positioning with shield a little bit more, and don't act out of shield too quickly against Cloud.
That dash will kill.
Just play it patient.
24% on Curry to start with. They are
So,
on Pizoint
yeah, okay. So here's the issue I'm seeing a lot of, is you're not really poking at Cloud enough. You can still press moves against Cloud while not holding forward. I think we've kind of established that. But what would have been great here, since he's been jumping a lot of neutral, is you can go for jump float falling fair while you jump and then cancel your jump with the float, and then you fair. Double jump, cancel fair. And that's super good against Cloud, because if you space it correctly, either one of two things will happen with the fair. You can space it and anti-air him, but if he ever tries to run up shield, it's safe because it's -8. So that's why fair is just such a good poke in this matchup if you space it right. Or if he gets too close, you end up crossing up with the double jump cancel fair. Or if he tries to dash attack you, you jump over it. So double jump cancel fair is so good in this matchup for anti-airing Cloud. And anti-airing Cloud's really good because remember, if he's playing on the ground and he hits your shield, his ground frame data is not very safe. Stuff like dash attacks like -24, and cross slash he has to like mix up on your shield, so it's a guessing game at that point. And you can kind of roll out of it or parry. So it's kind of risky for him to go for those. But yeah, you want to kind of control this airspace a little bit more and poke at Cloud. Another nice thing about Peach's pokes, when you space them right, is you can back air or nair, like ground flow back air or nair, and then you can shield afterwards, and you're closer to Cloud. So if he throws out an aerial, it'll end up mess up his spacing to where you can punish him out of shield. So I want you to kind of poke at him a little bit more rather than dashing back too much. Because Peach can swing against Cloud, It's just not holding forward and spacing it correctly around his shield is a big thing. Like even here would have been great for something like a back air. Because say for here, you could back air to stuff out something like his run-ins, and then you just shield. And then Cloud has to play around your shield, which he doesn't like doing too much.
Not looking good.
But yeah, definitely you're not defending any space is the problem. Like you've been rolling back and doing stuff like that, and it's just not really working out because this Cloud's just jumping around you.
Carnage right now.
Yeah, you're playing too defensive, but this is kind of what I mean, where I want to see more of
Not
this,
looking good for Carnage
where
right now.
you're confident in your spacing, you nair, and see nair and back air and fair if you space it right there fast enough to where you can shield afterwards, and see, this isn't at the tip of his sword. So this ends up messing up his spacing when you drift forward with some of these moves, given you have good spacing. Like, spacing is so important, because if you miss space, then it all just kind of goes down the gutter. But here especially, you can poke Cloud with like a ground flow move or a double jump cancel fair, and then you can parry something like this, and you get parry down tilt, and it's super good. But as long as you're not swinging too many buttons against Cloud, and you're being very conscious of your spacing and using shield in between, it's really good. Because this will force Cloud into guessing on your shield, which is what you want. And then he has to go for grabs, and it baits out like aggressive options from him. But yeah, you could have like, if you had a parry there, you could have down tilted. So that's what I want to see more. Is you kind of poke at him and then you shield like that. It's really good in neutral, especially with the turn up. So how are you? Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of this. You're trying to land right here, and you just can't do that versus Cloud. See, Cloud has better range, and he also could have dash attacked you, and he was also on the platform, so he's definitely just going to get off the platform and fair you. But also, I want to mention something earlier I forgot about. So when he's jumping, let's see what he does. He does that into shield, so it's usually a defensive option. Fairs, and well, he mixes it up with an aggressive option, which is good on him. Jump, and then down tilt. So either it's one of two things. So he lands and then he dashes back or he uses shield, or he mixes it up with like a run in down tilt. And after he lands, you can do something like back air and then shield, kind of what we were talking about. Yeah, and there's the dash back. And yeah, he's starting to catch you dashing back, and you need to poke him. Because again, like, you can stuff Cloud out. You can either shield, or you can anti-air him right there. And try to defend space with like a poke into shield, and then you can get tricky with ground movement in between to kind of really get precise with your spacing. But yeah, you're trying to land here, and you see you're just taking all of this damage, and it doesn't work.
Okay, gets a nice grab punish out shield.
Oh, that was good. So yeah, see, you try to take space, and then you shield like that. Okay. But that was like the first grab out of like 3 or 4. That worked. So grabs, unless you get something like a parry, it's not really worth it in this matchup.
Yes, nice grab punish out shield.
But I like what you did here. You thought the Cloud was going to try to jump on the platform and then jump. So it was good you covered his jump.
I was for the nerd just to cover the DI. Grab punish out shield.
Another thing you can do as well
for the nerd just to cover
is you can do this and then spot dodge. So that's also like another fast option you can do. It's similar to shield. It's not as good as shield because with shield you can get parries. But down tilt's also an option because it seems like he tries to down tilt a lot after he does the aerial anyways. Or shield. So. But yeah, yep, you can't drift in here. Yep, see, you jumped out of hit stun, and then you could have just drifted away there to avoid the back air. So you just cannot hold forward in disadvantage. And see, you're doing it again. Landing versus Cloud is so hard if they're good. So you just have to go to ledge sometimes. It's not even worth it.
Oh, the spacing from Curry.
Back air.
You gotta be so careful when you're shielding those back airs because that's exactly what
this was okay here. I definitely like the patience. So against limit, you just have to play patient. Like that's all you can really do. Shield's even better because if Cloud grabs you, then it's like, hey, I didn't get hit by limit at least. So I like the patience here. And see, you're not holding forward. You're just playing patient, kind of waiting out the Cloud here. And you also want to do that in neutral. Maybe not in the air, but on the ground as well, where you're just like spacing on the ground, not holding forward.
Be so careful when
So,
you're shielded.
if anything, if you learn anything from Cloud, it's to not hold forward
It's
and
back
play
in.
patient.
That's
And
exactly
Yeah.
this is like star example of that.
where he wants to go for those shield pokes.
Yeah, here it is again, where
he wants to go for those
it's
shield
good you
pokes.
use shield, but then you acted out of shield too quickly. It would have been a shield break there, but I think you probably could have rolled there because F smash does have some startup.
Yeah.
Where he wants to go for those shield pokes.
Yeah, you could have rolled there, I think. But yeah, you should have just like kept playing patient in the corner. Another good option you have in the corner is down tilt,
Yeah.
because crouching in the corner against Cloud's kind of good, because if he tries to do like a rising back air to pressure you, then you can just like crouch run under it.
Go for those shield pokes.
But yeah, you could have just stayed patient there. But you also may have lived that if you didn't take all the unnecessary damage from earlier, trying to land like right on this spot on the stage.
No way.
But the small things do add
See
up.
Carnage just looking down at themselves, trying to reset themselves mentally.
Yeah, you're giving up a lot of stage.
Definitely feeling a
But
bit
I like
shook
what you did
themselves,
here,
trying to
though.
reset
This is
themselves
something a lot of peaches don't think about in this matchup.
mentally.
Where it's like Cloud is shielding, and try to catch his jump out of shield while also crossing him up. Really good. Really good, because you get hit by this, and like there you could have like spot dodged or something. And so he doesn't get as much off of reading your cross ups than if he was to hit you with a combo starter in front of his shield, if that makes sense. So cross ups are just so good against Cloud. But instead here, you can go for a JCFF Nair. It does the same thing. It also crosses up, and it's safer. And you're not in the air as long to where Cloud can just read your landing. So yeah, this is kind of what I mean against Cloud, where you poke him, you do JCFF Nair, and then you can shoot. It covers an option quickly, gets you back to the ground quickly, while also having access to your shield quickly, which is the most important thing. And after you Nair, you don't try to grab or try to pressure his shield some more. You just throw out one move, and then you shield. Or you kind of use ground movement after that.
Yeah.
Definitely feeling a bit shook right now.
Yeah, so you're always like dashing back, and you need to shoot. You need to use stuff like ground flow Nair a little bit more. Ground flow Nair is just so good in this matchup, and even JCFF Nair, because they're fast and safe, and they slowly take space if you're using shield with it, if that makes sense. Because like here, for example, you could have just Naired at him, and if you would have missed, you could shield as well. And Cloud, Nair is just so hard to whiff punish, so you can just go for the ground float Nair here. So definitely use that more. It's really valuable in this matchup. Even ground float back air can be valuable, but it's a little bit harder to space. But Nair and ground float Nair and JCFF Nair are definitely the ways to go. And you haven't been using that. And even in neutral, when you have a lot of space in between you, you don't anti-air with double jump cancel fair either, which does the same thing as JCFF Nair, but it's slower. But it covers more space, which is helpful against like Cloud drifting in with like a forward air. But yeah, again, you're acting out of shield too quickly. You just gotta hold it a little bit longer.
Carnage just doesn't know what to do again.
And then there it is again. You try to land, and then you try to grab out of shield. And the grab was just it was overextended. See, you Naired him there, and you're safe. Like I was saying this whole time, where you cross up Cloud shield, or you hit his shield with like a Nair, and it's safe from up B. So you're in a great spot. So here you just hold shield some more. So that would have been great. So yeah, and then you try to grab, and then you acted out of shield too quickly.
But then
so it's like a lot of these things are starting to add up.
Destroy that shield.
So when edge guarding Cloud, we haven't really been seeing this because, we only got like 50% on him. We haven't really seen the advantage state. But when you hit, but versus Cloud, the best thing you can do is, well, it's hard here, but try to get behind him in down air. Not so much there because, I'd rather just go back to stage. But in terms of the edge guarding and keeping Cloud in disadvantage, it's all about taking his jump away. Because if Cloud doesn't have a jump, then he has to go low, and then that's when you can start putting down airs in specific spots. We'll see that if you can hit him off stage. Be a little more clear visually. But yeah, you want to condition Cloud to go low and take his jump away. Characters like Chrom, Roy, Belmont's Cloud, characters who get hit, even like Wolf, characters who have somewhat limited recoveries the best thing you can do is take away their jump and force them to go low, because that's when you can get tricky with stuff like throwing turnips down, toad, down air, all that stuff. If they don't have their jump, it's really hard for them to make it back, and it's kind of a 50-50 on whether you're going to read the air dodge to ledge or not. So against bad recoveries, just something to keep in mind in all matchups is take their jump away. See when they like to use their jump in disadvantage. It's so important.
Boy, that shield.
I think here you could have down smashed as well. It was good you went for the 2-frame, but down smash is just a little bit faster, so you can just get it there. This is better when he's at higher percent when you know it'll kill.
That shield.
But yeah, I think down smash would have been better, but always try to 2-frame Cloud, because if you see here,
shielding, but then
it doesn't always snap to ledge. Like, oh, hold on.
To do against it, just shielding, but then Cloud's just gonna destroy.
But yeah, you see, you could have like hit him right there before he snapped the ledge there. Sometimes it also just does a snap ledge, but down smash is faster. You can even down tilt into shield, which is super good.
Shield.
His pressure, his tag chases, everything's looking super scary. Carnage though, starting to find some signs of life with that back air, but can't get.
Yeah, these grabs out of shield. But see, you did it! It was so good! Where you did the nair. It was like, it covers the jump, while also crossing up his shield there. And then you can shield after, kind of what we saw you do in the corner. So, I hope people are starting to see it's just poking Cloud with really safe, low committal moves, safe on shield moves, and then shielding after. And then you can mix it up from there in neutral. And you're using the shield to keep space. Really good. But here would have been a great spot to go for the forward air. A lot of sword characters love to jump out of the corner, so oftentimes when they're at this percent, I try to like read their jump or force them to play grounded. Because if Cloud's going to be on the ground in the corner, the main thing you have to watch out for is like dash attack and down tilt, which is easier to play around.
From the side B.
Okay, keeps it simple with that shield punish.
But yeah, here's kind of what I mean, how to edge guard Cloud. You hit him,
Keeps it simple with that.
and then normally I would try to like throw that up to cover the jump. And you don't want to cover the jump now because he's already going low, and then this is when you can hit him. Normally there, let me see.
From the side B.
You hit him off stage, you pull the turn up. You could throw it up if you want to, because that'll cover him up being really low. But yeah, you can kind of just go out there sometimes and hit Cloud. That's also a decent option, but I think you would try to suicide up B at this percent anyways. But yeah, best just to play safe. But if Cloud goes low, how you do it is you place a down air like right around here. We float around here, and then this will catch the air dodge, and once he goes low and up Bs. So you place float like right here. Like right around where Cloud is here. Let's say Cloud, was Peach. This is where you want to float, and this will cover the air dodge and him up Bing. Because if you see his up B, you can hit him right here, but not here. So you want to be behind Cloud once you're down airing off stage to gimp him. Because sometimes you can stage spike him.
Okay, nice coverage on the platform.
Okay. But there you could have down smash. Down smash is so good too. It works. But definitely here, I wouldn't have done that movement. But you want to do this. And instead of doing that, you want to Z drop it, because then you can float, and then you want to down air right behind him right here. You don't want to be at the ledge. You want to be floating like a little bit off stage to where you're behind Cloud to hit him, to have your down air hit his hurt box right here.
Trying to look for that cheesy turnip kill just because it is.
And see, that was really good. This is what you want to do.
Again, trying to look for that cheesy turnip.
Poke Cloud as a way to stuff him out, and then you don't do anything else. So you can use movement at this point to space around his aerials. One thing I'm not seeing you use a lot is walking. Walking's so good in SHJCFF, but SHJCFF super technical. Walking kind of does the same thing, and like floating on the ground backwards, or just floating ground float to microspace, super good as well.
It is Cloud.
Yeah.
Recovery is a bit linear. So if you get that snipe,
But yeah, you want to Z drop. Optimally, you want to get this. Hold. That was good. So if it would have hit him, he would have died. Is you Z drop here, you float, and then you try to go for a down air. Best way to get Cloud's low recovery, as well as going for a ledge trump, because at this percent, you can ledge trump back air and he'll die. So
You do get the snipe, it will kill. 130%.
This is, you're doing really good at the corner pressure, but I want to see this in neutral as well, where poke, shield,
30%.
hit him again. Awesome way to deal with Cloud in neutral. And then you mix in being patient and movement with that. But the biggest thing wasn't so much your movement this game, it was more maintaining space. And this is the best way you can do it versus Cloud, is poke, shield, you don't go too far to where, you know, he'll up B you, and then he hits your shield, and if you like drifted in more, it would have messed up his spacing. I think this still messed up his spacing a little bit.
30%.
But and then you hit him there. So it's using that shield after you press a button to keep space. Because then Cloud would have had to grab you, and that's really good. Especially in the corner. And you're going for the rolls too. So yeah, it's then using stuff like shield, and then you can use like your ground movement to kind of microspace around his little wall bubble. But here as well, I know you're trying to go for these landings, but what you could have done here is go for, instead of that forward air, is jump DJC fair, double jump cancel fair, and it would have hit his shield and also been safe. And it would have caught his jump here. So try to control the air a little bit more with that fair. Sometimes you can use rising aerials. The rising aerials are really good out of shield because this Cloud has been jumping a lot out of shield. Like he shields, then he'll jump, and then that's when you can go for stuff like rising back air and rising nair to anti-air him. Because his aerials do have startup. You don't have to be absolutely afraid. And it's like what we were saying at the beginning of the game, where Cloud wants to keep that space. If he's too close here, you can press a button first. It's like Shulk, where you can press a button first and stuff him out before he does something like a forward air, because forward air has started. But you're catching the landings. But yeah, there it is again, acting too hastily out of shield, and he's getting you every time. Whether it be grab or you're just like jumping, just hold it longer.
It's gonna be back airs. It's gonna be back airs from both of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I said.
And see, now this is something you should have been starting to do at the beginning. You're doing it good. You up air, and then you space, and then you back air and shield. The downer was interesting. And then there, and then you go for nair and you shield. And then this is forcing Cloud to where he has to grab. And then if Cloud's grabbing, then you can mix in spot dodges and stuff like jump JCFF nairs, and start using shield as a bait. And then once you're baiting Cloud, that's when he starts throwing aggressive options and you can get him. But that's kind of the whole mentality of this matchup, is don't hold forward, use shield. But yeah, the biggest thing is don't hold forward and try to bait those aggressive options.
Wow.
But yeah, there it is again off the platform. He does an aerial. And this is kind of how you can use your movement as well to bait aggressive options in this matchup. Like, you don't entirely want to rely on shield. You can be here, and then one great microspacing tool is back air, because you can back air, you can run forward, ground flow back air, and it'll shift you back. So it's kind of the opposite of what we were saying about messing up the spacing. Like, you remember earlier you back aired, and then you got closer and shielded, and then Cloud hit your shield and his fair wasn't really spaced as well as he wanted. You can do the opposite here, where you run forward, and then you can do like walk backwards or a ground flow bear, which shifts your Herbox backwards to like be just out of his range, and bait this like aerial off the platform if you want to and punish him. So you can also use your movement to kind of bait Cloud to swing at you.
Off on the mainstream right now, but we got Curry Khan. We got our own hype.
Oh, yep, should have held it longer. But yeah, that was a really big thing this game, is you drop shield way too early. And it's okay to hold it, because Cloud has to really schmix on your shield to get around it. And it's even scarier when you have a turnip in hand. So definitely keep that in mind. Smashville's really rough. This is really rough, honestly. I would rather go to Town. Town's great in this matchup. Small Battlefield's great. Kalos is weird, and FD's weird, but I'd rather go there than Smashville. Just never take sorties to Smashville as Peach. It's so rough, because they can just cover the whole stage with disjoints, and it's really hard. I liked how you're playing grounded the last game too. That was a really good thing, because see, it kind of kept you from getting hit by too many aerials. Cloud wasn't like going to catch your landings. You want to catch Cloud landings, not the other way around. But it was good you were playing grounded. That was a good
Combo
start.
styles that you see with the Peach, you know, there isn't really much in terms of like a turn into with punish.
Let me see.
Combo styles that
What did
see
he
with
start
the
with?
Peach,
So
you
he
know,
goes to
there
the
isn't
platform. I'm gonna assume,
really
yeah, there's an aerial.
much in terms of
And then he tries to always, yeah, he catches you dashing back, and then he gets you with the down tilt. So try to hold space a little more. Definitely help a
with
lot
punish or
with
a
those
flip
pokes.
nair or a down tilt.
And see, now you're in the corner. What you could have done
Much in
here
terms of like a turn into with punish.
is do the forward air, where you just double jump cancel fair, and it would have been safe to throw it out here, because you would have been closer to Cloud, and then you shielded, and then, you know, that mix-up happens again. But see, instead you're in the corner. I think you're just too scared to poke Cloud. But the thing you have to realize, Peach's moves are just safe enough. It's where you can throw out a move versus Cloud and shield and be safe. And that's what you got to realize. And I think that's where a lot of the confidence kind of comes with Peach players, where they play too scared in this matchup and overly respect Cloud. When you got to remember, Peach's frame data is just safe enough versus Cloud for it to matter. It's where you can throw out these moves in neutral and just be safe. I know I'm like repeating myself a lot, but it's so important.
Really does,
but yeah, a lot of the times, like even here too, you're holding forward in disadvantage. Same in neutral. You can't really jump and float here, because then he can just back air you like this. And you didn't really accomplish anything by doing that. And you even landed here. Like, just go to ledge and play it patient. It's the best thing you can do. And so you're trying to side B there, and it doesn't work. And there's a double jump float again. Because, like, if Cloud hits you right now, you're going to be in a worse spot with more damage without the resources.
Struggling against swordies. Trying to get in with all those.
Yeah, it was very risky to go for that.
Struggling against swordies. Trying to get in with.
Hold on, let me see.
Really does, struggling against swordies.
Yeah, there's the jump again into shield. And you want to be ready for that against Cloud. And that's when you can start catching his landings there with safe moves into shield. You don't have to always go for the rising back here. Remember, you can JCFF. But I think it's a little more important here to just run away and try to bait an out of shield option versus Cloud.
With all those nairs.
Instead of trying to like go for it all with the read right there. But even then, he doesn't like do it immediately out of shield either. He always kind of waits. And he waits for you to do something, and then he acts out of shield. And if people are playing reactionary, one thing you can do is use movement. And this is kind of what I was saying about baiting an out of shield option, is you can use a movement. You can use movement to make them react to your movement, to make them think you're gonna swing, and then you punish, and then you move just out of their range to punish them for like being out of shield. Because against reactionary playstyles, movement is super good to bait them, because it's super hard to react to Peach's movement, especially if you're on point with your spacing. And oh my god. Oh my, but yeah, there's the cross up. That was good. But that down air was so risky. Like, you gotta calm down in disadvantage. But yeah, there's the cross up, and you could have down tilted there. Try to go for down tilt as like a punish. I think down tilt is -8. So you can like down tilt and then buffer shield. So it also is kind of a good poke. Nice. But even here, just go to the ground. I think you could have nared there as well. But yeah, try to be to the ground first rather than being in the air versus Cloud. Because of like down air, his down air will be up air. So it's just better to go to the ground first. But I think you had a good idea here though. You had a good idea going. Where it's like, okay, I got your jump. So that was really good. You always want to try to read Cloud's jump. You float here, and then you fall. Just to bait him to swing here, and then you could have caught the landing with like a ground float nair. And most likely he would have shielded. But yeah, it's good you read the jump. You float here, you don't even do anything. This is when you use your movement to bait an aggressive option, and then you go in and punish him. So yeah, you could have been a little more patient there. Go for empty movement versus swordies is so good, because you want them to swing. Bait those aggressive options. I think that was a shield poke. Let me see. But here, another thing is you want to try to angle your shield up. versus Cloud. It's another really good thing to
Do you
have.
like Carnage the way he's floating
Just
out?
angling your shield kind of towards him.
That sort of
Is
range.
you shield here. There's the grab again, but I'll get to that in a bit. Is you angle it up and towards him to where it doesn't hit you. So while you're using in shield heavy matchups, angling your shield up is so good against these characters because it makes it to where they can't poke you when they're pressuring your shield. Let's go back a little bit. Kind of the same problem in neutral, where he's kind of jumping a lot. And here you could have done the double jump cancel fair. Would have covered all of this space. And even here as well, you could have done it. Would have covered all of this space while stuffing out his moves in the air. And even his nair, it starts behind him, right? So it has a little bit of startup that you can take advantage of with fair. And there's a grab out of shield again. And then that's when you could have angled your shield. And yeah, you drifted in. You just, yeah, that's another big thing. Just holding forward in disadvantage. And instead here, you want to just play it super cool and patient. You go down here, you float, because most of the time Cloud will do this. You don't try to swing back at him. It's where you just get kind of hit there. So yeah, you just got to keep it cool. Don't try to hold forward versus Cloud. Even there as well, like I don't agree with this jab. Like even throwing the turnip was kind of, I would have definitely held that. But after this jab, it's again, you just want to reset.
Oh, nearly pop shield there.
And try to get to the ground first. But yeah.
Shield pop on Cloud.
And see, if you would have gone, like, let's ignore the turnip. Like, let's say this was a forward air. It would have worked too if it was double jump cancel. And you would have been able to eat through this blade beam he was throwing at you and anti-air him. So double jump cancel fair, definitely need to use it more. And ground float nair and back air on the ground to defend space. And because he's getting away with a lot of these jumps.
Oh, he grabs a turnip in the air.
Okay, we got him. But yeah, here. Oh wait, he had limit. Never mind. That was a good play. He stayed on stage. So yeah, with limit, another thing you have to remember is try to get Cloud off stage. Because see, once he's out of his jump, he has to burn up B. So getting Cloud off stage when he has limit is super advantageous. Because it's like, I have him off stage, he has to use up B. It's better than dealing with like blade beam, limit blade beam in neutral. But yeah, here, Z drop. Definitely use the Z drops a little bit more. Or another option that I like to go for against limit is you get turn up, you double jump here, and then you throw it down. Because this Cloud, yeah, you double jump there and then you throw it down. I don't know, but Clouds often like to be in this spot specifically when they're up being to stage or around there.
Oh, he uses his limit to get back to stage.
Roll.
Yeah, great mix up there from Curry, but Carnage. Time to show signs of life. He needs this stop.
Yeah, you could have Z-drop there. And what you have to keep in mind when you're throwing turnips down, a great mix-up to go for is you drift a little farther out to throw it. Because when you throw turnips down as Peach, most people will often just jump away. Like right here. Like most Peaches will throw it like right at this exact spot. And the best mix-up is you jump, drift forward a little bit, and then you throw it down like right in this spot as a mix-up. Super good to go for. Because a lot of the times when you're throwing turnip down, they'll condition them to kind of drift out. And that's when you can start drifting out.
Yeah, definitely.
Right there. So.
To show signs of life, he needs this stock though from this ledge trapping idea.
But what would have been better, honestly, was just to go for Z-drop. And because you would have been able to be down here faster. And then you can go for like down air right there. Instead of going for the fair here. Oh, he tried to save you. What a nice person.
I respect it.
Yeah, you pulled turnip here.
That was unfortunate. You tried to give him the homie stock.
Yeah, you're just not poking these Cloud. You're relying too much on shield, which is a problem. When you should instead be trying to use like movement to kind of space around him on the ground and then stuffing him out with like back air and other stuff.
Very unfortunate for Carnage.
Oh no, yeah, and so you gave up all that stage. But, yeah, I think the biggest thing for this game, and you need to do more of that fair right there in neutral. If you're confident in your spacing while you're poking him, then you won't be as afraid to do stuff like
Very, very
dash
unfortunate
back,
carnage.
pull turnip here, and just playing too passive. Like again, you can still press buttons versus Cloud.
Yeah.
You just have to not drift in too far or press too many buttons.
Stock lead.
Yeah, Curry's spacing is.
But you did good there.
Stage control.
Whereas like finally you use the fair, and then you back air, and then you could shield here, hold it,
Curry's spacing
and see you dropped it too quickly.
is just insane.
No! And now you're trying to land on Cloud. Yeah, this is the problem. You're trying to land on him. But you can even do the same thing versus Limit as well that we've been talking in neutral. You throw out a move, you back air, and then shield.
Curry's
Poke at him,
spacing
shield. And you want to hold the shield there. You dropped it too early. But you can do a similar thing where it's like you're playing patient in neutral against Limit as well and throwing out these very well-spaced pokes with shield to complement it to keep stable.
just insane.
And it's fine to shield against Limit because if he grabs, it's like, okay.
Last game.
And it even baits the grab. But yeah, you're trying to land versus this Cloud, and it's just not working.
Yeah.
So that fair is working so well.
Exactly. Yeah.
But another thing is you can mix it up with the Nair, where you do this, and then you can ground flow Nair there. But with your movement, it's a lot of this, like,
We only really saw like a couple of hours
dash in, dash back, and I want to see you walking more, because dashing is pretty committal, and walking just helps microspace a little bit better, and you can complement walking with, like, ground floating backwards, and using, like, back air to microspace, back to shift your hurtbox back a little bit to microspace, and just stuff like that.
Actually.
But yeah, the neutral is just, you know, moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have chased him there. But yeah, it's kind of moving, playing patient, microspacing, and then throwing out a poke and shield to defend space. But yeah, it's just not holding forward and playing patient versus the Cloud. That's the key. Because you can like nair here, and then you could have shielded instead. And it would have hit his shield, and then that's when you can like cross up and roll and do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I think you're just too scared
Can't go
of the
for
pokes.
shield, but Curry's just there doing the damage to it. Wonder if we're gonna see a shield pop out.
Yeah, you're doing fine
damage
here.
To it. Carnage going for a lot of shields, but Curry's just there doing the
Or you
damage.
did this, you fair and see like if you do it at the right height, then you can shield. And then you try to read his jump out of shield. But I feel like this wouldn't really work at this point. Even though I said it was good, because you've been dropping shield at very predictable timing. So he's just gonna wait for you anyways there and hit you. Rather
Wonder if we're
than
gonna
try
see
to
a
like
shield
jump
pop
out of
at all
shield.
this game.
There's a regular
Maybe
get up.
not, soon to be over, possibly. Oh, and he evades the down air
Oh
to get
yeah,
back
you're
on the
going for
stage.
grab.
Over, possibly.
Yeah, these grabs are
and
also
he
really getting you.
evades
Where it's like you just want to hit his shield and like do something else.
the down
Instead
air
of
to
grabbing
get back
it.
on the stage.
That's
That's
so
not gonna
scary.
kill.
Like, get buffed a little so it snaps a bit
Oh
better,
my
but
god,
it's
that was so
still
scary.
susceptible to those kind of spikes. Beautiful grab.
And then you can mix it up, kind of what I was saying with the shield. You can go for spot dodges as well. So that's the mix up to go with it. And once you start spot dodging, that conditions Cloud to go for cross slash or smash attack. So, and those are aggressive options, right? So you can go right back to shielding. So the cycle, so it's kind of a cycle of using shield and spot dodging to kind of condition certain moves for Cloud to read after you press a button, if that makes sense,
Spikes.
to try to poke at him.
That's not gonna
Because
kill.
Cloud really struggles against characters with really good pokes. And Cloud doesn't like being walled out either. So if you're on point with your poking game, I'll link a good video in the description on a vid I saw where I think Samsora played against a really good Cloud. And he was just doing really good job at poking and using shield. So I'll definitely link that in the description for those who struggle, as well as the Mute versus Sparva vid, because he played that excellently.
Doesn't quite get it.
But yeah, definitely avoid these grabs. But see, once you go for these nairs, it's definitely giving you a lot more flexibility rather than just like always committing to movement.
Well, that chase down there,
Don't be
just
afraid
to
to
maybe
defend
pull
space
something
and
back.
poke Cloud.
Yeah.
Nice. You held shield longer and then you went for the roll.
Challenge is such a
Yeah, and then you jumped. So at these percents,
yeah.
against high percent against Cloud, do not be in the air. It's just not worth it. Because once you're at high percent, Cloud's looking for two things. He's looking to back air, and he's looking for dash attack. So being in the air against characters at high percentage Peach is really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah. And another thing
It's
was
time to maybe
you can
pull
go for more
something back.
walking here.
Yeah.
Or you can even like back air here. Like I want you to use more of the ground flow back air spacing because it's super duper helpful. Let me see if I can find a video to explain this. Just to kind of, because I like always giving a visual example when I explain stuff, because it's super helpful. But Razo does it a lot, where he'll kind of microspace with back air,
I'm
which
still
is
gonna
super
click
good.
it.
We'll see at some
It'd be
point
so.
in this VOD. This is
And
like the
then in
VOD
the
I
video, it's
remember
like
at the
light weighting.
moment.
He like, yeah, Fox is bottom 10. And then in the video, it's like light
But yeah,
weighting.
this is kind of the
You're
movement
like,
I want to see you do
yeah,
more
Fox
of.
is bottom
Is you
10.
kind of ground flow and kind of just like space around rather than just always dashing. Because you can cancel your dash
And
with
then
something like a
the
float.
video is like light weighting a
And that's where
tournament.
like flow backer comes. When
I
is
hate
Razo
Larry.
gonna do
Anyway,
it?
this is an interesting matchup because this has always been a really rough matchup for Samsora in the past, right?
But yeah,
Like,
this is kind of what I mean,
this is an interesting
where I want you
matchup
to do
because
more
this
of
has always
this
been a really
movement,
rough
where it's kind of ground floating in place and just spacing around his shield, his general range to bait him, and then you just poke him. Then you throw out a poke sometimes once you get a feel for his attack timings. But yeah, a lot of it is just playing very patient and neutral, and using a lot of this empty
matchup for
movement
Samsora
that
in
you're
the
seeing
past,
Razo
right?
do. I know
Like,
this is Game & Watch, but it's
specifically
kind of the
Life's
same
Game &
principle.
Watch. And I think a lot of it stemmed just from
And then you're playing around a shield.
how good Game Watch is at dealing with
And this is
I
also
think a
why
lot of it
float
stemmed
would have
just
been
from
really good here,
how
because you can just float off of ledge and shield. So definitely keep your float in disadvantage. Helps a lot for ledge. So
how good Game Watch is at dealing with the Peach float. Right, once Razo gets caught in that basic like float distance where like Peach likes the space, like kind of high in the air, that's a free nair from Game Watch. And then once Game Watch hits you
but
with
yeah,
one
we'll
nair,
get to it
you
eventually.
take it,
But
like,
it's also
1,000%.
going over some
It's
really
true.
good things
Especially like, you know, most characters,
Good
whenever
day.
you're on the ledge and your
that Razo's doing
opponent's
right
on,
that you
like,
can
hanging off
implement
the
into your
ledge,
gameplay.
that's usually your opportunity to either like trap them on the ledge or maybe even get a stock. But you know what Game Watch does? He just drops down
Yeah,
up
see,
Bs and
could
now
do
he's
more of
kind
those
floating
fairs
back to the stage
to
for
just like
free.
defend space.
Like, how does Peach supposed to deal with that?
Honestly,
But that was
you
ground
want to
flow
play like
fair.
a really grounded like.
And then he's also going for grabs.
Slow
But
cancel, low to the ground type of game.
when
in
is
my
he gonna
opinion.
back
I
it?
just don't want to get air to air at all if I'm Peach. But there's that ledge trump backer. That's like the one thing Peach actually has on Game & Watch. I would say like the combo game is disgusting, and you can kill this light character very early if you get the.
There.
Yeah, Monty went for some ridiculous up B
We'll
off
find it
stage, just
eventually.
deep in the blast zone kill. But Razo was actually playing around it very intelligently. And honestly, his whip punch game on Game & Watch looking pretty fantastic, I would say.
Yeah,
So
one thing
myself.
one thing if I'm Razo, I'm
But
really
yeah,
gonna start
see, you
looking
don't
out
want to
for is
land
that once
versus
he
him,
continues
but
to- whenever he
definitely
gets
use
hit,
more of
bring
that
out down B
empty
to really start the
movement.
momentum. If I'm Razo,
She's so good from Razo on Game & Watch. Can that
Let me
forward
see.
there. Still, I would
That is
definitely take
so
a 46% extra credit on Game & Watch, considering how light he is and how strong Peach is.
yeah, but 46%, we all know that's one combo, really.
Oh, hold on. It wasn't even a combo. You just did up air.
Yeah,
two
see,
times.
it's kind of
all
like
you
what I
need
was
to
saying
do,
about
man.
Cloud. You just
Keep him
can't
up in
really
the
be
air.
above him
Razo's in
and
that
like
spot,
pressing
yeah.
buttons as you saw
See
there
turtle
earlier.
coming out.
Yeah, doing a lot of this empty movement is how you want to also bait Cloud to do aggressive
When
option.
just a little bit too late. Monty
And then spacing your
approaching with
fair,
nair,
and then he's just
you know
doing a
he's looking for that
good job at
nicer
spacing
conversion.
around Game & Watch's
Oh,
shield.
Yeah,
And
once
it's kind of
Peach
the
has no
same thing
jump trying
against
to land
Cloud,
against Game & Watch,
where you're
yeah, good luck.
spacing your pokes kind of just well
Monty
enough to where you
approaching
don't overextend on his shield
with nair.
to get up B.
No, he's looking for that
But,
nicer conversion.
yeah, you don't want to down air there.
Oh!
Yeah, once Peach has no
You get the
jump
point.
trying to land against Game & Watch, yeah, good luck. Connect, but I like the attempt. Get percent higher. He was.
Which I know sometimes Razo would go for what is it, the cross up with that.
Even in disadvantage, like what you saw here, you can back air to shift your hitbox back. So it's the same thing with ground flow, back air, and neutral, where you can kind of ground flow and then shift yourself back to space while doing empty movement to just be a little more precise when you're spacing around him in neutral and playing patient.
Scary. Okay. Monty's actually
And
so
another
smart
thing
with
was
like
you didn't really
trying to-
go for a lot of grabs either against Cloud. Like you would often land into shield, and you could have also just gone for grab
Okay.
rather than just going for shield
Monty's
pressure.
actually so smart. with
Because the only thing that
trying to
truly
edge
beats shield
guard.
is grab,
Razo would
and
normally
you gotta
snipe so
threaten
many
it
recoveries
sometimes.
like that, but Monty's been covering it really well.
Yeah, and of
But
course,
where
like,
is
he
this down
actually
there?
got the
But
dare,
if we
he
don't
just
find
went
it by the
carry
end
up,
of this
like,
game, then
The up
you
smash,
kind of get
like,
the point.
He was so close to dying. All right, this stock is very scary. So close.
Yeah, you
Ooh,
don't
Razo's
land
not gonna
there.
fall into
You
that,
kind
but
of
he's
just
not
have to
able
go
get
to
off the
ledge.
Yeah.
why back air? Was he
Yeah.
expecting from Monty? Oh, the back air?
But it was kind of the same there, where he's using this
Yeah,
back
yeah,
air to
directional air dodge? I
can't
microspace,
tell that-
even at this ledge
Oh, the back air?
situation here.
A lot of
Traps are
pressure.
so
Using that back
good
air
from
as a
Monty.
microspace. It's not always just an aggressive tool. It can be used to kind of microspace because he was trying to put himself in a position to get this air dodge.
Back air?
And he did.
Why back
And you
air?
could do the same thing
Expecting a
against
directional
other
air dodge?
I can't
matchups
tell if
when
that
you
was
need
intentional
to
or not,
space
but
around
Auntie
stuff.
is racking up the percent. How's Peach gonna land? She doesn't.
not. She does not land.
Bacon? Okay, Roswell has
And
a
there's the
fire layer on the
nair
corner,
that
taking
she could
61%.
use.
This is really rough right now. But Monty gives him the exact roll he was looking for, punches it almost perfectly with the
Yeah.
flow cancel nair.
80% stuck on the right side of the stage. Is not looking in a good spot for Razo to be in.
We need a Roswell combo. I'm gonna say it right now.
There it is. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You microspace with the ground flip back.
Can you even Razo combo?
So that's
A great spot for Razo to
absolutely
be
what
in.
I
We
mean,
need
where
a
you could be
Razo combo.
using
I'm gonna
empty
say it right
movement
now.
and walking, and then just mix up with the ground flip back air. Because that Cloud was playing reactionary. So the way you can beat reactionary gameplay is you use movement to kind of trick them. Because they'll try to react to your movement to think you're gonna swing at them, and then you can do something like a really fast movement option with Peach to kind of move just out of their range. Because let's say you move towards them to make them think you're gonna swing, right? Cloud will try to stuff you out, but then you microspace with the back air, and then you punish him for swinging at you, if that makes sense. So you can use back air as a way to poke and then shield to mess up his spacing, but you can also use back air as a way to microspace very precisely around stuff like this down smash, for example. So definitely implement that into your game plan and using more walking and empty movement rather than always dashing back and playing scared. And then throwing out pokes and using shield and spot dodge. But yeah, I think it basically covers everything I wanted to go over. So I hope this VOD helps.